the shadowy corners of ancient Greece, where logic and philosophy flourished, there existed a darker, more primal practice. It was a world of magic, of curses whispered in secret, and of terrible power held within small, unassuming figures. These were the binding dolls, the Koltsoi, silent witnesses to the most potent and personal desires for revenge, control, and domination. Imagine walking through the bustling agora of Athens. You see merchants haggling, philosophers debating, and citizens going about their daily lives. But beneath this veneer of civilization, a hidden current of fear and superstition flows. A rival in business, a lover who spurned you, an opponent in a crucial lawsuit. For any of these, there was a secret, chilling solution. This solution didn't involve open confrontation. It was quieter, more insidious. It began with a lump of clay, a piece of soft lead, or a block of wax. In the hands of a curse maker, these mundane materials were transformed into instruments of supernatural warfare. The doll would be shaped into a crude human form, a featureless effigy meant to represent a specific person. It wasn't about artistic detail. It was about symbolic connection. This simple figure was about to become a vessel, a conduit for a powerful and malevolent will. The curse maker would then begin the binding. The limbs of the doll would be twisted backwards, contorted into unnatural, painful positions. The arms would be wrenched behind the back, the legs bent impossibly. Sometimes thin strips of lead or coarse thread would be used to tie the hands and feet together, a physical representation of the binding that was about to occur on a spiritual level. The goal was explicit: to restrict, to inhibit, to paralyze the victim in their real life. But the physical binding was just the beginning. The true power of the curse was sealed with iron. Long, sharp nails, cold and menacing, were driven into the doll. They pierced the head, the heart, the hands, the feet. Each nail was a focal point for the curse's intent. A nail through the head was meant to confound the victim's thoughts, to make them forget their lines in court, or to stumble over their words. A nail through the hands was intended to stop a craftsman from working, or an artist from creating. A nail through the feet was to immobilize a rival athlete, or to prevent an enemy from fleeing. Each strike of the hammer was a punctuation mark in a sentence of magical doom. As the nails were driven home, the name of the victim was spoken aloud, a low, guttural chant that echoed in the flickering lamplight. Sometimes the name, along with the name of the victim's mother, would be scratched directly onto the doll, or inscribed on a separate lead tablet, a defixio, which would be pierced and attached to the effigy. This act of naming was crucial. It forged an unbreakable link between the doll and the person it represented. The curse now had its target locked. The incantation would continue, a litany of malice. I bind the tongue of Marcus, so he cannot speak against me. I bind the mind of Julia, so she cannot think clearly. I bind the feet of Leonidas, so he cannot run in the games. The curse was specific, tailored to the desires of the person commissioning it. It wasn't just a vague wish for ill fortune. It was a targeted assault on the victim's faculties, their very ability to function in the world. The target was often a person's ability to act, to move, to speak, and to think. The curse aimed to render them powerless, a puppet whose strings were now held by an unseen enemy. Once the doll was complete, its limbs twisted, its body pierced with nails, and its identity sealed with a name. It was ready for the final stage of the ritual. The doll couldn't simply be left on a shelf. To activate the curse, it had to be delivered to the realm of the spirits who would enforce it. This meant burying the doll in a place that served as a gateway to the underworld. The most common locations were graves, especially those of people who had died prematurely or violently. The belief was that these restless spirits would be more receptive to carrying out a dark task. The curse maker would secretly inter the doll in the soil of a cemetery, placing it in direct contact with the dead. Another favored location was a well or a sacred spring. Water was seen as a conduit between the world of the living and the world of the gods below. Dropping the doll into the dark, cold depths of a well was like sending a message directly to the chthonic deities, the rulers of the underworld. As the doll was buried or submerged, powerful gods were invoked. This wasn't a prayer to the Olympian gods of the heavens like Zeus or Apollo. These were appeals to the dark, ancient powers of the underworld. Hermes, the soul guide, Persephone, the queen of the dead, and the fearsome Hades himself. The curse maker would ask these deities to receive the victim, to hold them down, to enforce the binding spell placed upon the doll. The curse was now in the hands of the gods of death, and this was a curse meant to last. It wasn't a temporary hex. The lead tablets often specified that the binding should remain as long as this lead is cold and hard, which is to say, indefinitely. The victim was intended to suffer for the rest of their life, their abilities and fortune mysteriously withering away without any discernible cause. They would find themselves unable to speak at crucial moments, their limbs feeling heavy and unresponsive, their thoughts clouded and confused. They would be trapped in their own bodies, subject to a magical assault they couldn't see or understand. The psychological toll must have been immense. In a society where belief in such magic was widespread, simply suspecting you were the target of a curse could be as debilitating as the curse itself. Every misfortune, every stumble, every moment of confusion would be seen as proof that the magic was working. Archaeologists have unearthed hundreds of these binding dolls across the Greek world, from the cemeteries of Athens to the wells of Corinth. They are chilling artifacts, tangible proof of this hidden history of magical warfare. Each twisted limb and rusty nail tells a story of jealousy, fear, and a desperate desire for control. They are small, but their implications are enormous, revealing a side of the ancient Greek psyche that is far removed from the serene marble statues and grand philosophical texts we so often associate with them. But what if you were the victim? Was there any hope? Was there a way to break the curse? Belief held that there was one, though it was difficult. The power of the curse resided in the doll itself. If the victim, or someone acting on their behalf, could find the buried doll, they could potentially end the suffering. The counter-ritual was one of reversal and destruction. Breaking the doll, shattering the clay, melting the wax or lead was thought to sever the magical link. Pulling out the nails would release the binding on the victim's body and mind. Unwrapping the threads would symbolically set their spirit free. It was a race against time, a desperate search for a small, hidden object that held the key to one's life and freedom. These binding dolls are more than just archaeological curiosities. They are a profound reminder that human nature, with its capacity for love, reason, jealousy, and revenge, has remained remarkably consistent through the ages. They show us that even in the brightest civilizations, there are always shadows, and in those shadows, magic in its darkest forms can thrive. They are the silent, twisted effigies of ancient grudges, a testament to a time when a simple doll and a few iron nails could be the most terrifying weapons of all. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the dark side of ancient Greece. If you found this exploration of history's hidden practices fascinating, be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the past.